So Dr. J, how do I need to think differently about my finances if I am married?
If you're married and your finances, the challenge is now going to be: do you have individual financial plans, like where we're roommates, combined, or hybrid? We'll come back to that, but it's mostly going to be around communication is going to be the big issue. And Katie, you and I were talking before this video about one of our favorite examples of lack of communication or communication. Why don't you share with the group? Because this is a great example.
Well, I was just talking about how much I love the reality show Married at First Sight. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. And one of the things that always causes the most disruption is when they start talking about finances together and deciding if they want to combine their finances, what that's going to look like, having different ideas about what to spend money on. And I feel like that's hard in a marriage, but these people have only known each other for like a couple weeks. So they're really getting thrown into like not knowing anything about the person before they get married to them, which can lead to a lot of like surprises.
Yeah, and I got to admit, so my wife's got me watching this show too, okay? And really, I should just be embarrassed for saying that. But she's got me watching. I guess I'm a season behind you, Katie, but the season I'm watching, the gentleman is hiding how much his money is. He's lying. He's lying, okay? Let's be real. He's lying.
Oh,
All right, he calls it
yeah.
hiding or
Yep.
embellishing or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, what point? And he's like, well, my life and and I'm like, your money is you got to share this stuff if you're going to have a good marriage. And the number one cause of divorce in the United States is money and money battles. And I think the hard part here is having the conversation. I'll meet couples that have been married for 30 years and they still don't know what each other's finances are. It's one of those things like kind of like we're hiding it or like I hear a lot of this guilty pleasure. Well, I don't want them to know about the money I spend on. And doesn't matter what, fill in the blank, but whatever. There's always something. By the way, the way you do that, and go back to the budgeting section, is we give each other pocket money and we give each other a budget, go spend it on whatever you want, and we just forget it. But it also gets into gender roles. Let's be real, okay? Well, who's supposed to bring in more money, and how does that change the relationship? Okay, are you guys doing finances together? That's the first question. If you're not, then you are just roommates. Okay, now I hate to be harsh about that, but that's how it works. Now, by the way, keep in mind, when you get married, the government does not consider you roommates. So once you're married, you have to file your taxes together. And if your spouse screws that up, you're getting charged. Let's just be real on that. And, there's certain things that are assumed. So keep in mind, there are different states. You have to Google this one. There are community property states where we each own things differently than other states, and got to look at the rules. Yes, I'm a fan of some prenups and things like that because you never know what's going to happen. But if you're already married, you need to be having the conversation. And it's not about gender. It's not about who's making money. It's not about whatever it is. I think the challenge is that we sometimes mix our net worth with our self-worth. Like, oh, I make X amount of money. Okay, so like magic number. A lot of people, I want to make 100 grand. Why? What does that mean? Like, it's just a made up number. Well, I'll be successful if I make 100 grand. No, you won't. Like, then you'll be like, I have to make 150. Like, it's just how it goes. So you want to figure that out. The other thing you want to be thinking about is what are our goals together and individually? So I talk a lot about the concept of the gardener and the rose, where one person's growing, that's the rose, and one person's providing support, the gardener. My wife and I are in the middle of this. We just moved 1,200 miles for her job. We can do this because we're married and do finances together. It doesn't matter which one of us earns what. It all goes into the community pot, and we all have our money for our own habits. Mine's Amazon. Oh, and hers are fruit dresses. She likes dresses like with fruit and vegetable patterns. She does food research. I don't know. We're weird. But okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. But what happens is we can support each other now. That's a big thing. The downside of that is you got to communicate. So, Katie, I know you're married. How does your communications around finances go?
Could be doing it more. I think, when you talked about having like the weekly check-ins, I think that would be a really good thing for us to start doing. But I think that we spent most of our marriage not making very much money. And so we had to like watch it and be more careful. And now we're making a little more money and have more flexibility in the budget. And I think we've been in like kind of play mode of just wanting to be able to have fun and go out to eat and not think as much about our money. And so I think this is like a good time for me to be having these conversations with you because it'll help get me back to like, all right, how do we put some limitations around this so that, like you said, our money's working for us and we can work toward longer term goals as well.
Yeah, let's talk about that play mode because you're right. A lot of people that get to this point, the struggle's hard. Then you get to the point where like, okay, I'm okay. And what we call that in most cases is out earning your stupid. Okay, we all do stupid stuff. We do. Out earning your stupid says I'm making enough money that I can get away with my stupid stuff. Then what happens is somebody loses their job, or the house gets more expensive, or somebody gets hurt, or I got to pay for my vet bills, and all of a sudden the whole thing, because you can out earn your stupids only so long. Now, let's be real. We're a child-free group. We can out earn our stupid for a little bit longer. It kind of how it works. Most parents learn that they can't out earn their stupid when they have their first kid. Diapers are expensive. I just saw an article, Wall Street Journal, $300,000 to raise a kid to 18. Woo. Talk about big money. like that's a house. But my point is, when you're married, you need to be having those conversations. You need to be having regularly. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. I actually encourage people while they're still dating to share their credit reports. Well, when you're married, there's nothing to hide, okay? You need to be having those conversations. We'll go back to that Married at First Sight. Don't spoil it for me because we still got a couple episodes left. I think this marriage is not going to last because he keeps lying, okay? I said, at what point do you get caught? And it's like, well, he's like changing the numbers. By the way, that is actually called financial infidelity. It's cheating with money. So here's the thing if you're married or in a couple. Sometimes it's better to get a third person involved. Could be a financial therapist, financial coach, financial planner who can say the same things you've been saying to each other, but call you out on it. I do this with couples a lot. I'll be frank, not all couples make it. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. But where I can go, well, what are we doing here? They're like, well, we've been doing it this way and this. Let's stop that. And they're like, wait, what? And both of them know they should, but they don't have the language to do it. And in every couple, every time they go, I've been saying that to you forever. It's just not heard the same way. So, as far as your finances and married, number one thing, communication, communication, communication. Don't lie about your money or end up on Married at First Sight.